Good afternoon, grade 10. Today we're going to tackle about the factors affecting the plate tectonics. So one of the factors that affect the plate tectonics is the so-called thermal heat. What is this thermal heat all about? There are three mechanisms of heat transfer. One, we have convection. Two, conduction. And three, radiation. So, conduction is the process wherein heat transferred is through direct contact. Direct contact in the sense that the source of the heat is directly in touch to the object. Number two, convection. It is where heat transferred mainly through movement of a certain source. And this convection, this is only applicable for a liquid. Example of that convection class is the water in the sea, wherein during nighttime, it is used to release the heat that comes from the earth crust in the ocean, and so therefore the tendency of the water droplets is to go up, and therefore during nighttime those fishermen who are busy fishing in the evening, as you look at them, their color becomes golden brown. It is because of the heat that has been going up, moving up, because of releasing the heat that comes from the earth crust. And radiation, the very common example of that is the radiation that comes from the sun. It involves the transfer of heat without necessary contact. Without necessary contact. I gave you already an example. The sun that gives us the ultraviolet rays. So that one is an example of radiation. Another example of radiation, class, is the heat that comes from the microwave. If we put the food into the microwave and then you switch it on, the radiation or the transfer of heat through radiation is there. So that is what we call three types of heat transfer. Now, the second factor that affects the plate tectonic is the rock cycle and its types. Now, what are the different types of rocks? I'm sure you have learned this in your previous science. Okay? Now, number one, we have igneous rocks. Igneous rocks that comes from under the earth crust. It was released during volcanic eruption. Sometimes we call it buga, the very light stone. We call it igneous rocks. The second one is the sedimentary rocks. The sedimentary rocks, we commonly found this nearby the river. And the sedimentary rocks is with layers. The third one is the metamorphic rocks. The metamorphic rocks form from the extreme conditions of heat and pressure beneath the earth's surface. So, metamorphic rock class is usually the combination of igneous and the sedimentary rocks, and this metamorphic is also called as the pre-existing rocks. Okay. Now, what is the so-called rock cycle? Rock cycle, we never know where did it start actually, as it is called a cycle, whether it is from igneous, sedimentary, or metamorphic. But if we're talking about rock cycle, it is the process wherein it starts from the magma. Magma are those hot molten materials that comes out already, or it's already taken out by the volcanoes. If it is still under the volcanoes class, we call it lava. If it's already taken out during volcanic eruption, we call it magma. Okay? And then from there, the magma, it is combinations of those igneous rocks and the molten materials. So because of the cooling process and the crystallization process, that magma turns into igneous rocks. As you can see the color, it is grayish black or black grayish. Now from there, since igneous rock is already on top of the surface, there will be weathering and erosion. Weathering is the breaking down of the particles into pieces. Breaking down into pieces. Then from there will be sediments of that. Sediments in the sense that it forms the sedimentary rocks with different layers. As I'm having here the rock, okay, and this is heavy. We collected this in the river. Okay, so I wanted you to assist. What do you think is this type of the rocks? I used to make this as a paperweight. Okay? Now, how do we form the sedimentary rocks? It is through lithification and compacting it as those objects or rocks which is on the surface. It is exposed from the sun's heat, from the rains or the water, and from the plants and animals. Then it is continuously weathered or turned into different particles. And then again, continuously moving down, because of the pressure again of the heat. So that's why it is called rock cycle. Okay. And the other one, so we have now factors. I'm telling you about the factors. So number one is the heat transfer. Number two is the rock cycle and the types of rocks. And number three, the geological time. Now, what do you call this geological time? If we are talking about geological time, it is the time that may take aeons to effect changes on Earth. Those changes which is happening on the planet Earth represent the present human race. We may feel it or we may not feel it as of today, but as time goes by, we can feel it. So layers of the earth crust is also included there. First layer, we call it the crust. Second layer is the mantle. And the third layer is the core. Core, as we all know, it is on the middle. The solid inner core, which is made of iron, actually, class. A combination of liquid. The solid inner core is with iron, and the outer inner core is made of liquid. That's why if we combine them all together, that iron can be melted because of the heat. 100% collected from the sun's heat that turns into lava. And that is why those lava really came from the core of the earth crust. Yung pinakagitna, class. Ha? Pinakagitna. Okay. Next to that is the mantle. We have the so-called lower mantle and the upper mantle. And then from there, the crust, which is the thin outer shell of earth, composed of brittle but solid rock materials. Okay. Now, From those 3 layers of the earth, the thickest one, the thickest portion is the mantle. And the thinnest is the crust. There are 2 sublayers between the crust and the mantle. That sublayer is called lithosphere, and the other one is asthenosphere. Lithosphere from the word rock, and asthenosphere from the word Athens, which means weak. So it means to say that these 2 layers have got the hard one and the weak one. Okay? Please try to understand that one. And class, the planet Earth is a huge magnet. It is having the magnetic field. The magnetic field that moves from north to south and south to north. Since the Earth is tilted, nakatagilid ng konti, tilted on a 23 degrees Celsius, it is continuously moving. And that is the reason why we have day and night. It is a big planet magnet, a bar magnet, the so-called magnetic field of the Earth. That is why all the things which is here on the Earth, we are always in a position where we are not turning upside down because of the, how do you call that force of the magnet of the Earth? Centripetal force. That is the force of the magnet. Okay. So from their class, those are the things that we need to understand. That the planet Earth is a huge magnet. The magnetic field is moving from north to south, south to north. The 3 factors that affects the plate tectonic or the movement of the plate are the heat transfer composed of conduction, convection, and radiation. And the other one is the geologic time as well as the rock cycle and the different types of rocks. So I hope that today from our lesson you learn, if not everything, at least you need to learn something. Stay focused in your studies against this pandemic. The success of your studies class lies in your hand. Keep on reading your modules. Stay safe and be blessed. Happy learning. This is Ma'am Ayala.